Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, good evening from wherever you are watching this. With the second interviews in a series of interviews with successful, inspiring people. I'm Mario Greefhorst, and today we have the pleasure of interviewing a very special guest, Byron Belka. Maybe you'll watch this from Zoom. In that case, you will have the opportunity to ask some questions later on. And if you're watching this via Facebook Live, or in the replay, please let us know where you're watching this from. And feel free to put something in the comments or ask your questions, give some feedback. And again, I've asked Byron because we've been working together for a while. Good evening, Byron, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure, Mario. Thanks for having me.
You were one of the first guys that popped up in my mind when I thought about interviewing people who can give us a little bit of inspiration these days, because these are tough times. And I know you're a guy who's not always focusing on problems. You don't deny the problem, but you're always in solution mode. And well, I know you for that. I know you're a family man. That's important. That's your thing.
Yes.
Your wife, your 4 children. You're also a leader and presenter, a trainer worldwide. You've been on stages everywhere in the world. You are also the founder and the CEO of a multinational, a company that did hundreds of millions of dollars in the health industry. That's also very actual, obviously. I will ask you some questions about that later. You have a foundation that does some things for people who are less fortunate than most of us who are watching. But what I really admire in you, that you cannot help yourself, but help people to become the best version of themselves. So that would be my introduction of Byron Belka. What would be your response?
Hey, thanks, Mario. No, that's an honor that you would think that of me and think highly of me. You know, I think just like anybody else, I've always thought of myself as just an average person that's just not satisfied with average results. You know, I really do think that if other people can do something, why can't we? And there's so much more we can do. And when I feel like I'm progressing, I just know that I'm in a better mood. I'm happier. You know, if I feel like, I think anytime in life where we feel like we're making some headway, it's not about reaching that destination. It's about that whole progression process. And I think all of us, if we think about that, becoming more, it's through the process that we really find fulfillment and joy.
I totally agree. That's why I thought of you, because I know you like that. Well, it started somewhere. Maybe for people who don't know you, maybe you can share some things. Who's Byron Belka?
Well, yeah, no, I'm the oldest of 6 children. I grew up in a house full of love, and, you know, I love my parents, great people, great environment. You know, I was taught love, work ethic, respect, but, you know, we didn't have, you know, everything as far as just possession wise, not that you need any of that, but, you know, I felt like I always had my needs met, but I was always concerned about, you know, what I could do to help contribute to the family, what I could do to help contribute for my brothers and sisters. And I knew that if I went out and made some money and could buy my own shoes, I was the oldest of 6 children, that, you know, my parents had more to help my other siblings. And so I've always been concerned, not about things, but I just love options. You know, I love to be able to know. I think when fear sets in, it's when we feel like we don't have an option. When fear or doubt sets in, it's when we feel like we're trapped or we're stuck.
Yeah. Okay. So what you have really a big company now, and that's what would you say to you as a child if somebody told you were going to own a 100, 200, 300 million company in a few years' time? What would you have told him?
You know, I probably would have been excited about it, but I wouldn't have known how.
Right.
And I think that sometimes we can't see that full big picture, but if you know you're trying to do something a little bit more, and you're looking for something that's a little bit more, you want to be a part of something that's a little bit more, you eventually look back, and I think all of us are probably shocked at things that we've been able to accomplish because we set our mind to it. And, you know, having the background that I had, where I saw that there were things that we didn't have, not that we needed them but I wanted options. I was willing. And I think that once you have that desire and you're willing to have something more. A lot of those decisions, I think, in our life come from when we are in that situation where we're tired of just putting up with it. We're tired of the situation that we're in, and we want to do something to make it better or to make that change. And so I think I have big goals on where we're going to go still. I can see things bigger now than I could see when I started years ago. But what I did know is that there's so much more out there, and there's so much more that we can do. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of a solution. I want to be a part of something that I can look back and say, I didn't do it by myself, but I'm so glad that we started down that path. And so no matter where you're at on the path, if you have the goal and want to be a part of something more and part of something better, I think everybody can be shocked at really what could happen. I'm shocked. If you would have told me years ago that I'd be an owner of a company, I would have been to all these countries and done all these things and meet so many amazing people. I don't know if I would have believed it, but I would have hoped for it. And so it's amazing to see things transpire when you just take those steps one at a time, one after the other.
Yes. You have to split up those goals to things you can do today, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. It's never one big event. People sometimes think success is one big event, or to be able to do something is one big thing, and everything kind of leads to that next thing. Right. And, when people are in that state, life hasn't always been easy, I think, for any of us. But when we get to that point where we're just not willing to put up with something anymore, and we're willing to be the solution, which I think is the key. Because as long as we're saying, I'm frustrated with the situation I'm in, but it's because of this, or it's because of that, or it's because of this person, or it's because of the economy. As long as we're saying it's because of somebody else outside of our control, we never gain control. But as soon as we start to take that responsibility and say, no, I can make a difference and I have control over my future, is when things really start to change.
You mentioned it 2 times now. When you get fed up, you take another direction. Maybe that's an option. Can you recall that very moment? Then you said, well, this is not going to work. I have to go in another direction. This is where I need to take off. This is no more.
Well, I remember, I think it's multiple, but I do remember one time when I was in high school, getting ready to go to college, and I worked at a warehouse, and we had to do inventory counting. So it was mandatory. We had to work long hours through the weekends. We had to count all the inventory on all the parts that were in the warehouse. And we worked a ton of hours, got a lot of overtime. And I remember getting that check and getting that commission check at the very end and being shocked that it wasn't that big, being dissatisfied, thinking, okay, it's not going to get any better than this. And so, I've got to do something that I have control, that somebody else doesn't dictate, what I do or how I do it. And I've always kind of been that way. When I was younger, whether I'd mow lawns, I'd go around with the lawnmower, knocking on people's doors, trying to make money that way. Or I was always trying to figure out different ways to get that video game or buy that bike when I was younger. But it really hit me then and there, because I thought now I'm in the real world. I have a real job. And I realized that was as good as it was going to get. And I thought, there's no way. I can't be tapped on potential based on what somebody else thinks I'm worth. And I remember making a decision then that even if it would be painful, I was going to be an entrepreneur.
You were not going to have somebody else control your life, your ceiling, or whatever you can achieve, right? But then again, you can.
I love the ability to be in a
yeah.
Oh, go sorry. There's a little.
Go ahead.
Delay.
Go ahead.
I love being in an opportunity where our opportunity for growth is up to us. There isn't a cap or a ceiling, or I'm waiting for somebody else's approval or somebody else to give me a raise. I also remember working fast food in high school. Small little jobs. I worked at Arby's. I remember one of the first fast food restaurants. We worked at Arby's. And I remember going in and meeting with my manager for the first time You know, I thought I always tried to get my work done, and getting a raise. And I got a raise, and I think it was 5 pennies an hour was my raise.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, what? I'm just going to go mow more lawns. I'm going to go to my neighbor's house and do more yard work and stuff. 5 pennies, that's my raise. Why are we even talking? You know, I just remember thinking it's just not it was not the route for me. I love to do stuff with passion, and I love to do stuff where I feel like I'm making a difference and where there is no ceiling. And
freedom,
that's,
right?
yeah, the freedom, the options.
Yes. So, but that's one thing to realize that and to know it and to want it. But you mentioned it before a few minutes ago. You can't even begin to imagine how you are going to do it. So where you go from that one moment that you decide it's going to be different to, okay, but how? How did that happen?
I think it's finding things that you can get excited about, because if you look at anybody that's really seen real success, you know, and you hear interviews even from Steve Jobs and different people, you know, just to do what they were willing to do to see success, you almost have to be crazy, because it's not for the money. It's got to be something bigger than the money. You got to have that purpose. And we always talk about, you know, having that reason, having that purpose, having that why, and why that's so important. But that's where the passion comes from. Mm-hmm. And passion creates action and helps, you know, put in the effort and energy and be willing to do what a lot of people might think is crazy, but you do it because you care about it and you love it, and you don't feel like it's work. You feel like it's something bigger than a paycheck.
Right. You hear everybody say that every book you read. Okay, it's nice that they pay me a nice sum of money, but I would have done it for free. Everybody in those books behind me says that. So it's all about passion. You have to find something that you really like, that you're 100% congruent with and passionate about. Is that luck to find it, or how does that work? Because I know people who are listening to this are looking for maybe also something like that.
Well, and I think that's the thing. You always see somebody when they've seen success and you're like, wow, they're successful. But you know what? You don't see all the failures or all the wrong things or the things that they tried or the things that they did that didn't work. You know, people rarely focus on all of those other things. You can't be afraid to fail. You know, and that's what, there's a lot of things that I've done that didn't work out the way I thought. You know, a lot of little entrepreneurial businesses I did when I was younger, or different things I started and tried that molded and morphed and kind of led me to where I am today. And I think that so many times, I mean, even in the investing world, I've got a lot of people that I've learned from in that world too. And what a lot of my investor friends tell me, and I've seen it myself, even with some success and money that I've invested in just small little things and projects, is, you know, 80% of them are going to fail. And if you have 1 or 2 of them work, it makes up for all the other ones that didn't. And I think that if we're not afraid to fail and we have that passion, you get led to I mean, I'm in an industry today that I would have never thought I would have been in, ever. Even as an entrepreneur, if somebody would told me I'd build networks, I'd go all over the world, I would have, you know, that was not my original idea of how I was going to be an entrepreneur, how I was going to do my own thing. But it led me to this, and I'm so glad that it did. But I had to be willing to fail and see and learn, and your eyes become a lot more opened once you have a real perspective, instead of what you think life should be like or how you think business should be like. And if something doesn't work, that you can't do it or you're not good enough, because that's not true. It's all a process. It's
all a process, right? So we skipped forward a few years because I don't need to hear your whole resume. I'm interested, but we don't have the time. But let's fast forward a few years. All of a sudden, you are the CEO of this company who has an extraordinary product. It's new. It wasn't there before. How did that all happen? If you think back like 9 years ago, I think approximately. How did that start? How did that happen?
Well, first off, in this industry, it happened because I had somebody that believed in me. You know, I believed in something that I could do. I was willing to do it, and I had people kind of support and believe in me. And even when I made the decision the opportunity presented itself to purchase this company because I was a distributor first.
Right.
One of the reasons I did it was because of the people I was surrounded with, because I cared about them, they cared about me. And we made a decision together. I could have made a decision, to not just be a distributor in this company, but made a decision to be an owner and take over all by myself. But if you make a decision by yourself, a lot of times you stand alone in that decision. If you make a decision and you have support, I think so many times we think that we have to get there by ourselves, or it's only going to be because of us. Now, we're in control of what we do. But if we ever want to do anything big, it's going to be an accumulation of people working together. And when we made the decision in Rain, it wasn't just me. It was investors. It was leaders and people that we all saw something together. It was all, someone has to maybe lead the charge sometimes, but everybody needs, it's about the group. And so when I made the decision, I talked to leaders. I had talked to people, said, this is what I'm going to do this. And they said, let's do it. We'll support you. Let's go.
That's what you are.
Yeah. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Are you with me? Because, we can't do something. If we really want to change the world, it's never going to be by ourselves.
No, it is physically impossible because you are in how many countries now?
Yeah, we're in 40 plus countries now. And so, you look at that, there's no way. And I don't even speak, any of these languages, really.
Malaysian. Do you speak Malaysian, for instance?
No, I don't speak Malay. I wish I did. I wish I spoke Dutch. I wish I spoke all of these languages, but I don't. But the thing is you don't need to be everything to everybody, but you need to be someone and do your part and bring your abilities and talents to the table. And I love the structure that we have and the way that it's set up, where it's built on that, and not just about an individual, but built about a community of people with common goals and interests, and at the same time, very, very different dreams. But you never get there alone. I think even if you look at Tesla, or you look at Elon Musk, or or you look at your favorite player on a soccer team, right? They might be your favorite, but it's still a team.
It's still a team.
There's still so many people that help them get to where they're at.
I've known you for like 4 years now. We work together and I know you care about people. That's just not a loose phrase. You do. But it's not the only thing that made you buy this company, because you had something extraordinary in your hands, right?
Yeah.
Can you share something about that?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, once again, that's a process that we go through, that once you try things and see things, you really start to have a perspective. It's almost like dating. One of the reasons I married my wife, and I'm glad she said yes, was because of the experiences that you have in that dating. This didn't go that way, that didn't go the way that it went, and then once you find that right one, you just kind of know. It just was a lot easier, and that's how that's how this company was for me. It was experiences that I'd had in the past, so that when you see something that really can make a difference, when you've seen other things, because you've experienced other things, you really value something that maybe I wouldn't have valued had I not had those other experiences. But I had those other experiences. And so when I saw this as all these things that were unique.
Yes.
But yeah, even if I had to go find investors, even if I had to invest millions of dollars of my own money, even if I had to take, and risk a lot of things, in my mind, it wasn't really risky, because it was something that was unique. It was something that I'd looked for. It was something that I would hope for. And it just, like I said, it just, almost like my relationship with my wife, as I'm using that as an example, it just flowed. It wasn't a hard decision, because everything made sense. Everything was there. And it's things that I didn't have in the past and was able to see success. So, when you have something that you were looking for, what you can accomplish when you have something that's truly unique.
And also you made quite some sacrifices, like leaving your country for a while to live with your family abroad in Europe. That's not a small thing to do. But you did it. What I'm aiming at is what I think some viewers would love to hear, because they hear us talk about those seeds all the time. What
Yes.
is that? What is seed
Okay,
nutrition?
what do you
Why
see
is it so
nutrition? All
special?
right. Yeah, I love talking. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just, it's just a better way, you know. And I think when you have something that comes along that's a better way, and you can help, you know, you got people that are after nutrition, you got people that are wanting the nutrients, and when you can go to a place or a source where it's not been messed around with, where it's naturally concentrated, where your body can recognize it. You know, so many times we try to guess, you know, what is the natural or the most important ingredient, or what is the extract that we need. And the thing that I love about a seed is it is synergistically, you know, put together, and it's hundreds of chemical compounds working together. So rather than you and I trying to decide what is going to be the best and what is going, what's the key ingredient, you know, maybe there's an ingredient that's only powerful if there are 15 other ingredients working together with it, like we see in business or anything else. And I love the fact that in seeds, we're using hundreds of chemical compounds, but we're just putting it in a way now where the body can pull those nutrients out. And I think the timing, what I saw with it too, you know, Mario, is the timing. You know, when I look back at some of the other categories or some of the other trends, you know, I see that there was a ton of education. Now we still need to educate people. But, you know, when it was herbs or when it was essential oils, where I come from, you know, essential oils a couple, you know, 20 years ago, you were kind of weird if you dealt with it. It was kind of an odd thing. It wasn't it wasn't a mainstream type of thing. But when you look at where the world is at today and what the world is focused on today, everybody's interested in whole food. They're interested in non-GMO, you know, organic, vegan, vegetarian, all. So this is not weird. This is what the world is wanting. So not only do we have a category in and of itself that's huge, but we have it when the world is asking for it and when the world needs it. And so that's what excites me really about seed nutrition, is it's really going to the source. It's taking man out of it and saying, we're not going to start, we're going to stop guessing on what we think is good. I mean, we have the studies to back things up, but we're going to go to the source. We're going to go naturally to where the nutrients even stem from. Yeah. And we're going to start there. And what we've been able to see is it's just amazing what it does for people. So, you know, it's powerful.
I agree. I've known it for like 4.5 years, but it's pretty new. People don't really understand it when they hear it the first time. It makes sense though, because seeds, yeah, well, everything's still in there. Yes. It comes straight from nature, so cannot be bad. It's all 100% organic. So I sometimes say, I'm not wondering what those products are going to do to your body, but I'm wondering what your body is going to do with those products, with those nutrition. Right. I think that's right. Because we have so many great testimonials. I don't have to tell you, but sometimes you just think it's like medicine and cures, but it's not. It's food, right? It's just food.
No, it really is. It's food, and it's stuff that your body is made up of, and stuff that your body needs. You know, and that is why I think it's so powerful. As we talk about all the time, it's the body that is the miracle. It's not an ingredient that's a miracle. The ingredient doesn't do the work. Your body does the work when it has what it needs to do, when your cells can work together, when your organs and when everything can work properly, and you know the energy is there. Amazing things happen when the body has the resources. And so that's why it's kind of tough sometimes to tell people exactly what's going to happen. I kind of have an idea of what I know is going to happen, but the person's body knows what it needs to focus on first. And so where one person might see this benefit because the body is dealing with that, maybe this is more important or a bigger issue in this person's body, that gets dealt with, and then it goes on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So
this is amazing.
It really is. It's unbelievable.
It's now hay fever season, and I can still breathe. So I'm very happy only for that.
I love that. Yeah. I love hearing, and that's what I really, when I talked about having the experiences in the past, you know, I worked with a lot of companies that had a lot of nutritional products, and I was with $1 billion company. They had double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical studies on every one of their products. It was published by peer-reviewed universities. I mean, they had all of the backing that you would think you needed, but it was synthetic. It was chemicals. It was all of these different things. And even though they had everything that could back it up, I never, as soon as seed nutrition got into people's lives that I cared about, it was night and day. It was such a big contrast and such a big difference that had I not experienced the other thing prior, I would maybe think that all vitamins and all products do that. But being able to experience what I had before compared to what was happening with seeds, it was such a big contrast. And the amount of people that were able to get a positive result the percentages were so much higher that it was like it was night and day. It was what I'd been hoping for especially all the people that I care about that I'd shared things with in the past.
Right. And how do you make it consumable? Because I know people put seeds in their yogurt, for instance, and how is it being consumed by the body? Or you do that in a special way, right?
Well, I mean, seeds are set up to protect themselves, right? They're trying to create life in the future. So you got things in the husk and all parts of the seeds that are protecting those nutrients and are protecting those DNAs and that DNA in there. So if we were just to eat seeds on our own, we're not going to get all the nutrients out of it that we could. And so what we do, we found some proprietary processes that we use where we take these seeds, we press oils out of the seeds using a cold press process, where there's going to be some damage no matter what, but you want to minimize as much damage as you can to enzymes.
You don't heat it.
Yeah, we're not going to cook it and kill it all and heat it and put chemicals in it. So you want to cold press it, and then we take the husk of the seed and we grind it down into what we call a NutriFlower, so that then the body can pull those nutrients out of the husk. That if you and I just ate them on our own, we wouldn't be able to do that. And then we put it in a way where it's convenient, because even if it is healthy, I've learned in today's society, if it's still not convenient, it doesn't matter. We all know that we should eat healthier. We all know that we should eat fruits and vegetables and juice this, but if it's not convenient, it doesn't happen like it should.
No, I can imagine. Wow. And all of a sudden you were in 46 countries or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, if somebody is getting curious about what you're saying now, somebody who's listening, maybe hears about it for the first time, what could you say to them?
Well, I'd say the first thing that you need to do is try it. Get a sample. We can help with that for sure. Right. Because I think the most powerful testimonial, if I had a choice between this much science or I had my child that had an experience firsthand, I'm going to take that all day, every day over any of the science. Because, the science is important, but when you get your own result and you see it in your own life, then the science can validate why it's happening. But when we started even in this company years ago, we just saw the results. We didn't know all the reasons why. We know a lot more today on why. But the best thing that somebody can do is try it. You got to experience it for yourself. And, we're happy to help people do that and get samples out and have people experience this, because that's the best way to know anything, is just experience it firsthand.
Right. Okay. I'll make sure to have a note of that in the text when we post this video. So everybody can put a hand on some samples. That's great. Let's go to another passion of yours, because I know it is, because it's mine as well. And that's, what I'm aiming at is personal development, obviously, because you're all about that. If it wasn't for personal development, would you be where you are now?
Absolutely not. Because we have to grow, and we have to be those types of people that could do, I think that if I would have found this opportunity 15 or 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for it. I don't know if I could have handled all the things that you got to handle in having a global business and, learning. And I know that I've learned a lot even through the whole process, but, I've learned a long time ago that being a leader is not about just, telling people what to do. Being a leader is growing, and you can show people what to do by doing it yourself. And so if you want to manage a huge business and a huge organization, yes, we have the abilities to use everybody's talent, but we need to put it on our shoulders to become better, grow, become more, and be able to handle things that 5 years ago you might not have been able to handle. And personal development is all about that. We can, I think real leaders can show somebody where to go, or good leaders can show somebody where to go, but a real leader shows people the potential that they have in them that they didn't know they had. Mm-hmm. And can show them and open their perspective to even a bigger outcome than they even thought possible. And that's what people did for me in the past.
Right.
And what I love to do for others is to be able to hopefully even not only expand my vision through my personal development, but be able to help other people see their full potential and expand their own visions and what they can do because because somebody has done it. And that's what we've got to do as leaders, is we've got to always be on that path moving forward and progressing.
So it's like a two-way responsibility, a leader towards whoever is willing to follow or who is following, but also the follower, because a good leader is also a follower from
absolutely
mentors and so on, right?
Yeah, I've always had mentors and people that I look up to and people I learn from. Yeah. You never get to that point where you're done. In fact, I think the more you learn, the more you realize you need to learn.
I totally agree. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're never ready, right? You're never done.
No, you're not. But
who are your mentors? What names pop up?
Well, one of the first ones that really made the biggest impact was one of my first mentors in my first company. His name was Nathan Ricks, and the reason that I really respected him, he was a multimillionaire. He came from nothing, and I was coming from, in my opinion, nothing in the industry, in the business world. He believed in me, but he practiced what he preached. Mm-hmm. And I had a good, I think a good mentor will coach you on the things that you need to do better, even if it hurts. They'll tell you things that aren't always comfortable, and they'll tell you things that, out of the right intention, but because they want you to become better. And I think that's the difference between a mentor and a friend. A friend sometimes won't tell you. They'll say, "Oh yeah, you did great." Well, your mentor will say, "I loved what you did, that, but this is what you need to fix. This is what you need to do." And so he was one of my first, I've had people that I looked up to, even when I was young, that made a big impact in my life, even when going through high school or what we have a scouting program in the States where you can become an Eagle Scout. It's like where you, and I remember, people that grabbed me by the arm, and even when I got distracted going to college, I had a gentleman, and his name was Mr. Lundgren, and he came and he basically told me after school, when you're 18, you can't get the Eagle anymore. And I was 17. And he said, "You've come this far, and I'm going to make you come over to my house every single day after school until you get that." And he helped me become an Eagle. And I think that there's so many people in my life that I feel like I've been able to get so far, but a mentor has stepped in and helped me get further than I thought I could go. And whether it's my dad and my parents, where I've learned tons from, or people even today that I learned specific skill sets from. And that's the thing. You want a mentor that's done it. I think I had a hard time in college because even when I was going through business and finance classes, I had a hard time in a business class talking about, finance if my teacher wasn't a millionaire. I had a hard time with that because I wanted to learn from those people. Yeah, those people who had done it. And so I would rather learn books and read books from those successful entrepreneurs that had done it rather than somebody that maybe could teach a theory.
That's why I've asked you, Byron, for this interview.
Yes.
You've done some things. It's not all from books, it's from life experiences, right?
Absolutely.
Well, in that respect, what would you advise people who are a little bit worried now about their future? And okay, I can understand that, and you probably as well. But would you advise those people to keep the morale up? How can they do that?
I would say what you've got to do is, first off, find something that you can stay passionate about. And then make sure that you're doing actions every single day to get closer to that. Because when you see that progression, like I talked about, in good times or bad times, when you're in fear, we're paralyzed. When you're doubting yourself, there's no activity. And I remember even when I had to learn a new language for the first time, I went and served a service mission in Hungary. I didn't speak Hungarian. And, you know, you
It's
could be,
impossible language, by the way.
yeah, it's crazy. And you could think to yourself, you know, how am I ever going to do this? How am I ever going to learn it? But you know what I learned? I needed to mess up with confidence. So even if I said the phrase wrong, I was going to say it with confidence. And if I got corrected, great. You know, I wanted to be corrected. But if I was too afraid, and I think that's what happens sometimes when we're unsure of what's going on in the economy, or we're unsure what's going on in our future, we're kind of nervous, so we don't act. But what we need to do is we need to act with confidence. And if you look at some of those people in history, like even Honda, that invented Honda Motors, you know, from Japan. If you look at his story, where did he went and collected gas cans, empty gas cans from the military during war to try to put all these things together. He created these motorbikes to be able to get people around because they could do it on less fuel. And if you look at through history, a lot of times when amazing things happen, it's when somebody had to be innovative. It's when somebody had to push forward when things were difficult. That's when a lot of the biggest changes that have affected our globe happen, is when there is something that is difficult and a solution needs to be found. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I really believe that there are so many opportunities always. And if we have a passion towards something and we're moving towards that every day and not being afraid and not creating doubt, but seeing some type of result and moving forward, it feeds that passion that continues to push forward. And it's contagious. It's contagious. And when you have that passion and you have that belief and you have that fire, when maybe other people are concerned or nervous or scared, people want to follow somebody who knows where they're going.
Yes.
People want to be a part of something that's bigger than what they feel like they could do by themselves. People want to be part of something that's noble. And so let's go do those things. Let's do things that are noble. Let's do things that are going to push things forward and inspire that, you know, you can learn more during a tough time. You learn more about yourself. You learn more about your abilities and where you even want to go than I think you learn when times are easy, because you're not forced to look inward. You're not forced to focus on your mindset and say, even though everybody else is saying I should be negative and it's a negative situation, I'm going to get myself out of this and I'm going to get other people out of this. And how you do that is, once again, having that passion and moving forward and creating results that fuel your happiness. And we're happy when we're progressing.
It's more than just a mindset, isn't it? Mindset is one thing. It's also like the why. Simon Sinek.
Exactly. Well, you bring it to life through action. You know, you've got a thought or you got a belief here, and you bring it to reality through action. And that's what we're the only creatures on the planet. The only creatures on the planet that can go here, and create something here, and change environments and change things. And we are creators. And so we should spend our time creating.
And that's where our focus should be at these times.
Absolutely.
Guys, I think you agree with me. In a few years' time, we're going to hear about great initiatives that started today or tomorrow, or next week, in this time. Then
I agree 100%.
You have to be creative. That's a good point.
I agree. Yep. And it's going to force you to do things that you otherwise didn't have to do. Force people to get out of comfort zones. And that is such a good thing. Because when we get out of our comfort zones is when growth happens. And so if anybody is feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the situations today, I'm not saying it's a pleasant thing. And I'm not saying it's there's sad things going on, and we're going to do our best. We can't, to support and help those people that are maybe suffering or dealing with tragedy. We're not going to ignore them. But what we need to do is we need to be part of that solution. And we need to get outside of our comfort zones and grow. And tough situations make us do that. So I think there's going to be a lot of growth, a lot of personal development that's going to happen right now, which is awesome.
Because that was intrigued me. If people don't really believe it themselves, but they can surprise themselves, right? By just stepping up and start. And what kind of business doesn't matter, but whatever in life, what you find passionate about. That's a challenge in thought. If you don't believe in yourself, what would you say to those people?
Well, I think you just got to have hope first. I mean, if you don't have hope, it starts with hope, and then when that hope turns into some belief and some faith. And even if you don't have faith in the entire thing, like I don't really know if I can see myself hitting that result. What you need to do is you need to have hope and faith in doing small activities, and once you see that result, then now it's not faith anymore. It's a knowledge. Now you can look back and you created things that you hoped for and things that you believed in that are now a reality. What that does is that strengthens your confidence in being able to say, this other stuff that I still have faith in, maybe I believe in it a little bit more. Yeah. Because there were things that I had faith in before and that I hoped in before that are now a reality. It's not faith anymore. It's a fact.
Yes.
And I heard something that I really liked, and it was a statement that is this: I didn't come this far to just come this far. Uh-huh. We didn't come this far just to come this far. We came this far to continue to move forward, right? Everybody has come as far as they've come, and you didn't come this far just to come this far. That wasn't the purpose. You came this far because of actions, belief, hope, turning that hope into faith, that faith into fact, but build upon that. And so even if it's little successes, little wins, you can build on that, because now you're, there's things that I believe and dreams that I have and goals that I have today that I probably wouldn't have fathomed, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But because of this process and because of where we're at today, why can't we do this now? Because now your perspective is different. You're looking back at all those things that didn't exist that now do.
That's
and with that,
that is about the journey, not so much about the goal. Because what is a goal? When you're there, that's what you said. There's always a next step. So, in that perspective, you have to enjoy the journey itself.
You have to enjoy the journey and embrace those little wins. Even if you don't have faith in the entire thing, do you have faith in this little thing that if you do these things, you'll get these results? And once you get those results, that hope and faith turned into a fact. Right. So that should hopefully strengthen your belief in the fact that if I have a bigger belief, I should be able to get there too. Right. And if it's step by step by step, you're going to see that your goals will get bigger, your dreams will get bigger, your impact will get bigger, and your ability to make a difference will increase as well.
And you will become more.
I don't know everybody that's on this call. I think I probably know most of you, but I don't know who's on Facebook.